Today we are with the analysis of the poem Lotus Eaters by Alfred Lord Tennyson. As usual, I'm Anusha Tendakon. If you have not yet subscribed my channel, please do subscribe it for more videos. Content. Today's presentation will consist of the following. Number 1, the poet. Number 2, Victorian poetry. Number 3, background information to the poem. Number 4, summary of the poem. Number 5, analysis of the poem. The poet. Alfred Lord Tennyson was an English poet. He was the poet laureate during much of Queen Victoria's reign and remains one of the most popular poets. He was awarded the Chancellor's Gold Medal at Cambridge. He was born in 1809 and he died in 1892. Victorian poetry. The novel was the dominant genre of the Victorian era. Therefore, even poets developed poetry in the context of the novel. In fact, poets sought new ways of telling stories in poetry. When the Victorian poems are deeply analyzed, it is obvious that Victorian poets have got a strong influence of Romantic poetry. Romantic literary era was the literary era just before the Victorian literary era. Even though Victorian poets got lots of influence from Romantic poets, they could not remain the success that Romantic poets had. In fact, they could not sustain the confidence that the Romantics felt in the power of imagination. Victorian poems are very pictorial. Poets gave detailed information to construct the visual images in the minds of the readers. But the poets failed in their attempt because their attempt of describing even minute details made readers bored. Background information to the poem. There are interesting background information to the poem Lotus Eaters. The poem Lotus Eaters appeared in 1832 in a Tennyson's poetry collection. It was believed by some that his trip to Spain with his close friend Arthur Hallam, where they visited the Pyrenees Mountains, inspired Tennyson to write this poem. And some others believe Tennyson's The Lotus Eaters is based on a portion of Homer's Odyssey, in which Odysseus' men are fed lotus plant and become mesmerized by the land onto which they have stumbled. The men who eat these fruits, all but Odysseus, fall under the empty spell of the land. Now, let's look at the summary of the poem. As the poem opens, we are thrown right into the action. A crew of sailors is about to arrive in a new and strange country. When they get there, they find a lazy, tropical place full of streams and mountains and waterfalls. Pretty soon, they met the natives called the Lotus Eaters, who are a mysterious bunch with dark faces who look both gentle and sad. Even more importantly, they are carrying some of their favorite food, an enchanted plant called the lotus. Some of the sailors try the lotus and it has a strange effect on them. It makes them incredibly sleepy and lazy. They basically just plop down on the beach and refuse to move, insisting that they are tired of working all the time and want to stay in this new spot and just chill. Structure of the poem. The poem Lotus Eaters is a lengthy poem with 173 lines. The poem can be divided into two parts. Line number 1 to line number 45 can be taken as the first part of the poem, while line number 46 to line number 173 can be taken as the second part of the poem. In this presentation, we are paying our attention only to the first part of the poem. For easy studying, we can divide these 45 lines in the first part into 5 stanzas So that one stanza gets 9 lines. Now let's understand the poem. We'll understand the poem line by line. First we'll take first 2 lines together. Courage, he said, and pointed toward the land. This mountain wave will roll us shoreward soon. First 2 lines take us direct into the action. One of the sailors, who was floating and swimming in the ocean with other fellow sailors after their ship was wrecked, shouted, asking his colleagues to summon courage, because he saw an island and he was sure that these huge waves would take them soon to the island. Line number 3 and 4. In the afternoon they came unto a land in which it seemed always afternoon. Even though they thought that they would reach the island soon, by the time they reached it, it was afternoon. According to the speaker, in this island, it seemed always afternoon. Line number 5. All round the coast that languid air did zoom. Line number 5 describes the air in this island. It seemed lazy and looked as if it is about to faint. Here, readers can see that the speaker, the poet, gives human qualities to the air. Indirectly, the air is compared to a sleeping man. Line number 6. Breathing like one that hath a weary dream. In line 6, the poet extends his comparison between air and a sleeping man using a simile. He says the air is breathing like a person who had a nightmare. Line number 7. Full-faced above the valley stood the moon. When these sailors looked at the sky, they could see the full moon. Lines number 8 and 9. And like a downward smoke, the slender stream along the cliff to fall, and pause and fall did seem. In these 2 lines, the poet describes the little waterfall which is running down the valley using the simile like a downward smoke. The poet describes how the waterfall is running down, creating visual images in the minds of the readers. It is flowing in a shape of a volume of smoke when it is turned upside down. Line number 10 and 11. A land of streams, some like a downward smoke, slow dropping veils of thinnest lawn did go. A land of streams. He starts the second stanza with an excitement. He is surprised of what he saw, because this is a land of streams. To describe these streams, he repeats the same simile, downward smoke, which he used in the first stanza. These streams fall down like veils of the lawn. Line number 12 and 13. And some through wavering lights and shadows brought, rolling a slumbrous sheet of foam below. The flowing of some streams are a little powerful. They break out light and shadow and then fall down into a sheet of foam. Line number 14 and 15. They saw the gleaming river seaward flow from the inner land far off 3 mountain tops. Here, the poet describes a river which is flowing from the tops of mountains from the inner land towards the sea. Line number 16 and 17. 3 silent pinnacles of aged snow stood sunset flushed and dimmed with showery drops. The poet keeps describing the mountains which he mentioned in the line 15. These mountain tops are covered with aged snow which will never melt. Line number 18. Up calm the shadowy pine above the woven copse. The poet describes dark pine trees climbing up above the trees below them. Line number 19 and 20. The charmed sunset lingered low down, in the red west through mountain cleft the dale. In these two lines, readers get a little more information about the setting sun. It is sinking in the west as usual, but sunsetting in this land is little different. It seems linger a little as it was enchanted by the beauty of the island. Line number 21, 22 and 23. Was seen far inland and the yellow down, bordered with palm and many a winding vale, and meadow set with slender galingale. The poet presents more images of the landscape. Sailors can see yellow field with palm trees around them like a border. Not only that, they can see lots of winding valleys and meadows with a kind of ginger plants around them. Line number 24. A land where all things always seem the same. This is a key line and it reminds line number 4 in the first stanza which says, in this island it seems always afternoon. According to line number 24, nothing seems to change in this island. Line number 25 and 26. And round about the keel with faces pale, dark faces pale against that rosy flame. All of a sudden, the poet shows readers some new people. They are around the keel, the bottom part of the boat. The poet sees them first as faces. Their faces look mysterious. The poet further says their faces are pale and dark. It is a kind of contradiction which comes under oxymoron or paradox. Line number 27. The mild-eyed melancholy lotus eaters came. In this line, the poet says who these people are. They are the famous lotus eaters as mentioned in the title of the poem Lotus Eaters. They are the people who live in this island. Line number 28 and 29. Branches they bore of that enchanted stem, laden with flower and fruit whereof they gave. The lotus eaters came with their favorite food, the enchanted lotus. The branches of the lotus were heavy with flowers and fruits. The natives, lotus eaters, gave them to the sailors. Line number 30 and 31. To each, but whose did receive of them and taste, to him the gushing of the wave. Lotus eaters gave their magic fruit to each of the sailors, but only some of them tasted it. The choice of tasting resulted in a big deal, but we cannot figure it out clearly here. Line number 32 and 33. Far, far away did seem to mourn and rave on alien shores, and if his fellows spake. The sound of the waves was heard by those who tasted lotus as the sound of angry human beings crying. Line number 34 and 35. His voice was thin as voices from the grave, and deep asleep he seemed yet all awake. Because of the effect of the lotus, the voices of the sailors sound thin and ghost-like. The enchanted lotus make these sailors seem like they are deep asleep and all awake. Line number 36. And music in his ears his beating heart did make. The sailors who tasted lotus hear their own heartbeats as if they were music in their ears. Line number 37 and 38. They sat them down upon the yellow sand, between the sun and moon upon the shore. Because of the effects of lotus, they plop down on the beach. They sit down between the sun and the moon. This is reference to the sunset in the previous stanza and the full moon in the first stanza. Line number 39 and 40. And sweet it was to dream of fatherland, of child and wife and slave, but evermore. While the sailors are sitting on the beach, they have happy dreams of their home. It means they thought about their children, wives and servants. Line number 41 and 42. Most weary seemed the sea, weary the oar, weary the wandering field of barren form. Even though they loved thinking of their homes, everything about getting back their homes seemed exhausting. Line number 43. Then someone said, we will return no more. Then all of a sudden, someone is telling we are not going home. That is what exactly lotus-eating sailors have been thinking. Line number 44 and 45. And all at once they sang, our island home is far beyond the wave, we will no longer roam. Now, sailors start singing together. They want to let everyone know that they plan to stay in this land without going back to their home. The poem Lotus Eaters is all about a place. We all hear about the valleys, streams, waterfalls, as well as the calm, dreamy, tropical mood of the place. So, we don't really meet any specific theme in the poem. Therefore, this is the end of today's presentation. Hope to see you soon with an educational video like this. Thank you very much.